If you're here, it's because you have a mind for the strange, mysterious, crazy things of this world and sometimes just downright creepy. Go ahead and grab your brew while I sit here and talk about the Shadow Man. So, today we're going to be talking about the shadow people. Now, there's a lot of myths and paranormal studies done about the shadow people. Some people say that they're good. Some people say that they're bad. That one ghost that just lurks there, that's slowly creeping closer every night. And surprisingly enough, even the Hat Man. Now, I know a lot of people lately talk a lot about the Hat Man, and the Hat Man is going to be brought up in this video. Research that I did that the Hat Man and the Shadow People are actually one and the same. But I'm going to start off with a personal story. Now, next month, I'm going to be talking to you about Hanley Road. I do want you to tune in for this one because Hanley Road left a lot of scarring PTSD. Is a nice way to say it, but I want to do that one with my sister because we both have experiences together there and experiences of our own. But the reason I bring this up is because the house I'm going to be talking about right now is the house in Blurton, which is my stepdad's house. Now, I was, I believe, 14 when my mum met Mark. We moved in when I was roughly between 14 and 15. I don't quite remember. And I have had weird experiences in this house. However, in comparison to Hanley Road, it was a complete cakewalk. But again, I'm going to be talking about Hanley Road when my sister gets here next month. But so people that know my stepdad, and I know a lot of you do follow me, they know that he's a very quiet, reserved man in comparison to my mum. My mum was like the life of the party, and he's a wallflower. Like, he doesn't say much. He's a man of, we always joke saying he's a man of many words, but he does have a very dry sense of humor. But while he was watching my YouTubes, he started to share with me some of his experiences from the house, which blew my mind because I didn't think he would even talk about it because when I was living back in England, I only ever knew him to be such a skeptic. So I really love that he shared this with me. So thank you so much, Mark. I love you. But I'm gonna lead with my experience and then I'm gonna show you his experience with this particular one. So when I moved into the house, the layup of the house is you have the front door, and when you walk in, you have the stairs directly facing you that go up to the second floor. Then you have the living room, then the second living room, which I guess will be kind of like the dining room to Americans, however you want to use it. We say two living rooms, and then a kitchen that leads to the back door. Now, up the stairs, there's a converted attic, but when you walk up the stairs, it's like a big square step, and the ladders come down from the attic there, but there's no doorway. It's just basically like a little banner to, I guess, keep you from falling if you're up there. And then when you turn this way, you would have the bedroom, and then the small bedroom facing the bathroom. I was in bedroom next to the small bedroom, and then their room was right there next to the bathroom. And I had the bigger room. For some reason, every time I'd walk past the attic, I would get this like really uneasy feeling. And I couldn't pinpoint. It's like I didn't feel like I was in danger, but I didn't feel like I was definitely not welcome up there, which is crazy because I first originally wanted that to be my bedroom because, I was a teenage girl. I wanted to be out the way, per se, but it's like after I made it known that I wanted that to be my room, like every time I'd pass it after that, it was like I felt like something in them was like, no, bitch, you're not moving in this room. This is my room, type thing. And I would hold my breath, and when I would go from the top step over the square, I would hold on to the banister because it would be like a forward, then that way. And I would like hold my breath, hold on to the banister, and I would swing around. I don't know my logic behind this, but I would swing around. I was a little skinny mini back then, but I would I would swing around so I wouldn't have to step on that step directly below the attic. And so that was that first weird glitchy thing, which does, a lot of people are like, oh, it's a new house, it's in mine. No, I've been in plenty of old houses, new houses. There's only houses I feel weird shit in. I don't feel it everywhere I go. But I remember I'd been staying there maybe a couple of months. When I first moved in, my friends were there every night. Well, every night other than school night, because it was like a long bus ride. Because I'd moved major cities, so I eventually had to change schools too. But at the time, I was still going to the same school. My best friend was my best friend my entire age 13 up until I moved. I still consider her my best friend now. But she would always be able, but this was like my first night by myself. And I wasn't scared. I was actually happy to, not saying I didn't want her there, but it was like, I was excited about my first night alone. I could relax because I used to like listen to this show my age now. But I would listen to like either my CD player or my Walkman player if my CD was scratched. And I would listen to that when I would go to sleep. And I had a double bed, which is like a queen size bed that Mark actually made. And I remember I was just laying there, and I know it wasn't sleep paralysis because I was not asleep. I was listening to my music, and then my music just stopped. And it wasn't my CD player, it was my tape player. So I couldn't put it down to the CD being scratched. But I'm just laying there and I'm faffing around with my tape, like, is there something wrong with it? The tape was all in there, I didn't have to wind nothing up, I'm blowing on it. That's how I know I'm awake, because I'm physically holding the tape and I'm blowing in the tape to make sure there's nothing on the tape itself. And I start smelling cigar smoke. Now, my mom smokes cigarettes, but cigarettes and cigar smoke is completely different. Completely different. And it was a very, like the big thick cigars that people smoke and they give off like this really strong smell. That's what I was smelling. And then all of a sudden, I felt like something was holding each of my shoulders down. And this wasn't the first time I had a similar experience. And again, not sleep paralysis because I was not asleep. And I felt like a weight on my shoulders holding me down. And I can hear like cups clanging, like glasses, like a somewhat of like, like in the 50s and 60s when they would have dinner parties, like, and then I hear, I can't make out what they're saying, but I'm hearing chattering around me. I'm being held down. I smell the smoke. It's like clinging of glasses. The best way, let me see if I can find something. Okay. So it's like people picking up glasses, moving glasses, cheersing people. It's like that sound. And then it just disappeared. There was no reason or rhyme behind it. Just all of a sudden I could get up, the smell had vanished, the sound had gone away. But the difference between this one and Hanley Road was I wasn't scared. And you'll probably understand why the one at Hanley Road scared me more than this one, but this one I wasn't scared. Obviously, I don't like being held down. Who likes being restricted? Well, unless that's one of your kinks, but personally, it's not one of my kinks. I don't want to be held down. But I feel like it was like I'm here, I live here too type of vibe. But I never said much about it because at this point, creepy stuff, weird stuff, it was just the norm in our family at this point. And I wasn't going to turn around to Mark and be like, oh, your house is haunted, when at the time he was a skeptic, other than a few life changing experiences from Hanley Road. But he decided to share with me. Now, they're still in the same house, mind you. Like, they own the house, it's almost paid off for. So, my stepdad watched my Skinwalker video and started to share with me his experience just the other night. He was laying in bed now. Him and my mom sleep in different rooms now because they've got two dogs and the dogs fight in the night. Plus, they both have their own individual health issues. So it's just more comfortable for both of them to sleep in separate rooms. And Mark was in his room and the dog just kept barking at something. And of course, it's going to wake him up. So he sat up and he got his phone out and he started recording. And this is the recording. Now, I don't know if you caught it the first time. I'm going to play it again, but I'm going to like change the colors a little bit and point stuff out. But I do want you to keep in mind that this house, even though it's an older house, it has double panel glaze. I don't know what you call it in this country. We just call them double glazed windows, where it's like it's not a breeze. It's definitely not a breeze coming in. And I'll show you why. I'm gonna mess with the colors and show you, see if it'll show up better. But I also want you to notice a certain area, and I'm gonna circle it for you. First, I was like, maybe pareidolia is a real thing. If you look at something too hard, you pareidolia is a real thing. And I was like, maybe I'm just staring too hard. But then, if you keep looking, now you'll see something come out of the closet. Now, this is where the dog's initially barking. If you watch the closet, you see like almost like a little shadow, and it goes from the closet to over by the window. And it doesn't look like the blinds are just going like this. Like I said, there isn't no draft, it's a double panel window. But it looks like something's almost like, like it's got an attitude type thing, like, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. Now I know you've seen that. I've lightened it up, I've darkened it. It's the same shadow you see go from the closet over to the window to where it feels like something's just like pulling the blinds like this, and then it moves across the blinds. So that pretty much sums up the same kind of stuff that would happen to me. Like I would be sitting in the living room and I would just see, stuff from your peripheral. just moving, or it'll just stand there, and then the second you look, it's like I want you to know I'm here, but don't look at me. Like they have the most attitude. They do. Like they're the bougie ghosts. They are. They're supposed to be demonic, and people have different experiences. Like you have the people that are like, oh, they're my ancestors that are just lingering around. Some people say that it's residual energy, and then you've got others that say it's demonic. But this is where things get kind of fascinating because upon my research of the shadow people, it's actually really hard to find an origin unless you're looking into paranormal investigators that find particular things. And I'm going to give you a brief rundown on what this paranormal expert says that they are. There are many theories of what shadow people are. I'm going to talk about a few today, starting with the theory about they're from another dimension or even aliens, however you would like to say it. Michael Rick, Rickens, Rixner, Rixner. I will put it down in the comments and the descriptions, but he's an author of the book called Walking in the Shadows, and he does have a very interesting take on his experience. He talks about when he was 8 years old and he woke up in the middle of the night to see, the tale old as time, there's a tall, dark shadow lurking in the corner. In his mind, it didn't go to ghosts or anything supernatural. He thought there was actually an intruder in the house and somebody broke in. Even though he was terrified, he opened his mouth and he did try to scream for help, but no sound was coming out. And something very interesting happened. The shadow person did walk towards the bed and he did lean over him face to face, and he said it had no features. It was like looking into pure blackness. That must have been terrifying. And he said that the shadow person took him by the wrist and crossed his arms and then patted him on the wrist or on the hand per se. And then he ran off into a random closet. He doesn't know why the closet, but he ran into the closet. Surprisingly enough, the more information he found out, because he did have a regression session. Now, in a regression session, it allows you to go into like either hypnotize or a trance like state to where you can remember part of memories that your brain stores away. Because even though we don't think we remember something, we actually take it in our brain and our brain stores it. We just can't recall it. So he has a regression and it allows him to access a part of the brain that was blocking out a lot of the memory. And the more he thought about it, the more it's like this shadow person wasn't actually trying to hurt me. Because even though it was a very scary moment, he didn't try to hurt him. And the fact that he placed his arms in like a kind of like a self hug, comforting motion, and then patted him on the hand as if to say, it's okay. It seemed like the shadow figure was more startled that he could see him than anything. But it is a very interesting read. You should go ahead and take a look at his book. Now, on that note, there is another study done that was, I want to say, one of the most disturbing. It was a sleep study and it was taking place in college in England in 1971. And the name of the study is GR16. There is a haunting video apparently from the study, and it was a group of people, and they were all claiming to have these nightmares of the shadow people in their dreams. Because, of course, we all know Freddy likes to visit your dreams. Now, during the sleep study, they were testing their brainwaves and patterns, but according to a source, it went horribly wrong. The shadow people actually killed all of the subjects, and as far as finding records on it, nobody can actually find it other than the apparent video clips that are roaming around out there from the study. But this could either be a horror story or it could be true, but you never know with the government, right? Because they do all kinds of stuff to test on us, and we don't even know half of the time. But yeah, that's supposed to be the most horrific one, where all of the test subjects died in their sleep. And then this brings us into the Hat Man. Now, Rosemary Allen Gully, a paranormal researcher investigator who has also been a background journalist and been in the field since 1983. Intelligent spirit, kind of like a low ranking angel, with the ability to be able to appear as human or in animal forms to possess humans. But yeah, a lot of the time they're known to just be standing in the corner and watching, which is extremely creepy by itself. Now, the theory about reason why the shadow people would need the hat is because for centuries, us as humans has always known somebody in a superior role. They always wear like the top hats and being very dapper. And even though jinns can shapeshift, they don't have their own true form. And they always look kind of off. They don't quite look like they could be, which could that be mysterious East Coast shadow people? Fruit for thought, right? But anyway, I digress. So yeah, they're known to be very intelligent, and of course, they shapeshift with the hat because one, people in authority wear hats, and they have done for centuries. But one thing she did notice is most people that have actually encountered the Hat Man or shadow people have either encountered an extraterrestrial or been abducted by one. They don't seem to be involved in the abduction, but it does leave the question on like, are they spying for the aliens? Or are they basically just piggybacking off? Because the jinn are known to feed off of our energy. And what gives off the most energy off of humans is the fight or flight mode when you're in pure fear mode. And this leads us to Heidi Hollis, the author of many books. I will put her link below too. She speaks on how the shadow people or the Hat Man are just aliens. She was a comic book author, but she says that she had a call from Jesus to finish her book and basically to go against everything that she actually wanted. And now she's teaching people about the paranormal life and aliens and the shadow people. She also has a YouTube channel, which I'm going to link right here at the top of the screen if you wanted to check her out. But in a nutshell, the more you look into the shadow people, the more questions you have than answers. And one thing is for sure, too many people who have never met before, even way before the internet was a thing, would all describe.
If you've seen a shadow man with a hat and red eyes, you are not alone. The Hat Man is believed to be an entity attracted to certain families with several generations of reported encounters. He often appears to people in dreams or when they are in an altered state of consciousness. Have you seen him?
Thank you for joining us this week for our episode on the Shadow Man. And go ahead and grab your brew with me next week as we talk about the North Carolina serial killer. Now, he's not a very well-known one. I did do a deep dive, but it's definitely interesting. Have an amazing week.